Thank you. How often do you get distracted? You know it's important. You're focused on it. But all of a sudden, something just gets you off track. I think we all can relate. I think for most people, getting focused is not the problem. It's staying focused. It's long term. Like New Year's Eve resolutions, people get so excited December 31st. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I got all these things I'm going to do. But then, a month later, less than 5% actually are following through. So I think getting focused isn't the problem. It's staying focused over the long period of time. So how do you do it? Well, if you're like me, you go online and there's all these suggestions. Number one, get a good night's sleep, get out in nature, exercise, take breaks, listen to music, make sure you eat a balanced diet, avoid caffeine, work offline, make sure that your office space is not cluttered, and then lastly, get this, have a to-do list. Who has time for all of these things? I mean, you're adding this to your to-do list to get focused, and so most people don't. What if there was an easier way? What if there was a simpler way for you to get focused and stay focused? And I think that's what you're going to discover tonight in the next 60 minutes. I wish you were with me. The year was 1972. I was in New Fairfield at my grandparents' house, and it was a big, loud party on Christmas Day, my birthday, December 25th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've never had a birthday party ever in my life. So the family's together, like 45 people, all talking at the same time, smoking, drinking, laughing. It was a magical time. And all of a sudden, my Uncle Victor picks up a quarter from the table and says, "Greg, take a look at this." And he makes it disappear. And all the noise disappeared. All this distraction went away. And as a picture this, as a 10-year-old, I'm like, what? Uncle Vic, how did you do that? Can't tell you, the kid, it's a secret. I said, well, I can keep it secret. He says, yeah, I know, but so can I. That night, I begged him all night to teach me the secret because I wanted to know. I said, Vic, it's my birthday. Tell me how you did it. I need to know. How did you take that quarter and make it disappear? Come here, kid. The way I did it was, that was the night that he introduced me to misdirection. And it changed my life. I would not be here today if it wasn't for the fact of what my uncle showed me that night and introduced me to misdirection. And what she taught me was this one thing. The conscious mind is easily distracted. Conscious mind is easily distracted. So let me show you again. Take your hand like this, bring it out like that. Close your fist. And just bring one finger up just like that. Okay, let's start again. That's your thumb, not your finger. Misdirection, misdirection. All right, let's do this. Make a circle. Make a circle with your 4 fingers and your thumb. The circle, just like this. Everybody make a circle. Make a circle.
I'm afraid.
Where else does that show up in your life? All right, put it right next to your ear. Right next to your ear. Right next to your ear. All right, good. Everybody got the circle? Everybody got it? And then put it on your chin. Okay, this is your chin. Misdirection. The conscious mind is easily distracted. You ready for one more? Should I do it?
Yeah.
Oh. Where she says we should do it. So December, actually it was January. January this year, I'm in Vegas, MGM. David Copperfield walks out. What's your first name?
Ann.
Ann. I'm sitting where Ann is. I paid like $150. And David walks out, he's right here. That's wonderful. And this is what he did. Took his hands like this and crossed them like that. So do it with me. Hands up like this, take the left, this is the left, left. Take your left and bring it over the right. And follow me Bring your thumbs down like this, and if you can do it, not everybody can do it, hold it really tight. Now if you're doing it right, I can't see everybody, your pinky should be at the top, your thumbs are at the bottom. Now don't hurt yourself. I'll do it just like when David was doing it at the MGM. Now you want to go like this, slowly and slowly. And then bring it around like that. Misdirection. All right. I'm going to teach this to you, but you have to promise, I need everybody to promise that you won't tell anybody, because this is the secret. This is how David Copperfield opens his show, and if you pay like $150, he comes out with nothing in his hands. It's the first thing he does. He's been doing this for years. Who wants to learn it? Want to learn it? Okay. Left over the right is what I did. You can watch me or you can participate, it doesn't matter. So when you brought your hands around like this is what I did. I said if you're doing it right, your pinkies are at the top. And you all looked at your pinkies, right, Ann? You looked at your pinkies. And then I said the thumbs are at the bottom. At that point, Kim, I let go. I let go. But you weren't paying attention to that because you didn't know it was coming. And then I went like this. So what I did is I broke it. Misdirection. So this time we're going to do it together. I want you to focus on when I let go. So when I point to my thumbs. Does everybody got it? Mm-hmm. All right. Left, over right. Got it? Bring your hands over like this. Hold it really tight. The pinkies are at the top. The thumb should be at the bottom. Now this is where I did it. But I don't have to because I already did it.
Oh,
Misdirection. So what misdirection taught me at 10 years old, I'm going to be 60 this year, so I've been doing this for a long time. What she taught me is that the conscious mind is easily distracted, and hopefully you are all believers tonight. If misdirection had a partner, his name would be multitask. Multitask is an illusion. We really can't do it. Now here's some statistics. When people get behind the wheel and drive a car, and they look down at their phone at the wrong time, 400,000 people every year just in America get hurt. Just because the cell phone went off, or they want to text while they're driving. 400,000! Sadly, 4,000 people die. Just in America, you see those monuments on the side of the roads with the crosses and things? 4,000 people die because they're driving and they want to text or they look down at the wrong minute and they get hurt. On average, when people go to work, they pick up their phone, they tap it, they swipe it, and they click it 2,600 times a day.
Oh.
On average, when people go to work, they waste about 12 and a half hours per week because they're not engaged in their job. They're looking at other things. And in business, I do a lot of speaking for corporate and business and nonprofits. $650 billion every year is estimated loss just because people are distracted. They're not focused. So if I'm looking at Ann, you're Ann, and I'm having a conversation with Ann, and I do a lot of work for companies on customer service, I don't want to be looking at my watch while I'm communicating with Ann. I don't want to look at my cell phone. I don't want to look over, what's your first name?
Vicky.
Vicky. I don't want to look over at Vicky because it gives the impression that Ann is not the most important person. When I'm looking at Ann, I can barely see Vicky. So it really has to do with focusing on one thing versus focusing on 100 things. So if I look at you, I bring my hands out. At this point, I can't even see my fingers. I know they're there.
Yeah, I'm seeing you and not your fingers.
Right, you can't see Vicky over there.
No.
So everybody take your right foot and put it straight out. Your right foot, put it straight out. You're going to make a circle like a clock, starting at 7 o'clock, bringing it up to 12. Go right around in a circle. Now bring your hand up like this with your forefinger pointing. And while your foot is going around clockwise, I want you to move your finger counterclockwise. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. I mean, you could with practice. I had one person actually do it. I'm like, wow. But they were very talented, and they practiced. I don't know why, but they did. So here's what I've learned with all of my research. We are not built to multitask. Now, I can do the laundry and I can cook and I can talk on the phone, we all do it. But just realize how dangerous it is to multitask when you're behind the wheel. And when you're in customer service, people pick up that you're not important if you don't focus all of your attention on them. Now, if misdirection and multitask had a baby, that baby's name would be overwhelmed. Because here's what happens. When we try to multitask, we try to focus on too many things at the same time, we get overwhelmed. We're not a computer. And so we get completely stressed out. You know people that have been stressed out in the last couple of years because they're just trying to do too many things? Multitasking and the concept of overwhelm are married in the sense that when we do this, we get burnt out, totally burnt out. There was a guy by the name of George Miller. He wrote a paper many years ago called The Magical Number of 7. How many? 7. I'll try it again. The magical number of 7. And this is what he said. There's billions of bits of information coming at us at every second. We can't focus on everything. It's impossible. So what we tend to do is we tend to focus on about 7 chunks of information, and that's it. Give or take a couple, but that's it. We can't focus on everything. Have you seen this on the internet called the monkey business illusion? Anybody? Have you seen it? All right. They have 2 teams. One team's over here wearing all black. The other team is over there wearing all white. They have a basketball. One's over there, one's over here. And you can Google this afterwards. You are supposed to count how many times the basketball is being passed through the black team only. So all of your focus is here, but not on the white team. You can't focus on Ann and Vicky. It's impossible. So everybody's focused over here. The ball is being passed. And spoiler, how many times? The magic number is 60. 16 times the ball is being passed. Then they ask everybody at the end, did you see the gorilla? This guy walks out in a gorilla suit, 6'5", walks out, beats his breast, goes like this and walks off, and only 50% of the people who watched it saw it. Why? Because we can't multitask. We only focus on some things and not others. And when we try to do everything, it's impossible. So it's like this. If I were to ask you for 7 things in the room that were red, you would say, well, that's easy, his socks. Then you'd probably say the card, maybe you'd say the table, you'd look around for the exit and the fire alarm, and you could say 7 things that are red, no big deal, that's easy. Then if I say, okay, now let's look at 7 things that are blue. She's got a scarf on, Kim's wearing blue, what else? The blue back there, the photo, the blue over there, the bucket, that's easy. 7 things that are blue, easy, right? You could do that. Now if I said 7 things that are red on top of it, and then another 7 things that were blue, you would be what? Overwhelmed. Here's where I learned. I learned this from misdirection when I was 10 years old. The conscious mind is easily distracted. Case in point, the monkey business illusion. They brought the same group back and they said, we want you to watch the video. Black team's over here, the white team's over here. Count the basketballs if you want, but look for the gorilla. Look for it. I gotta look for the gorilla. I'm looking for the gorilla. Everybody saw the gorilla. Everybody. They were so happy. I saw the gorilla this time. Oh, we saw the gorilla. Hey, did you notice the curtain changed from red to something like blue? Nobody noticed it. Did you notice that one of the guys in the black team wearing the black just walked off the field, totally just left? Nope, didn't even notice it. Why? That's what I learned from misdirection when I was 10 years old. The conscious mind is easily distracted. Second thing I learned was from my mom when I was a teenager, and I didn't want to listen to my mom. I didn't like what she had to say, but we'd sit there watching TV, and The Exorcist would come on, the Poltergeist, the commercials, and she would roll her eyes, and she'd go, I can't wait. And I'm like, Mom, what do you mean you can't wait? What are you talking about? She says, be careful. Be careful what you expose your mind to. I said, Mom, that's garbage. What are you talking about? This is what she taught me. The unconscious mind is easily conditioned. Now, as a teenager, I didn't listen to my parents, didn't listen to my mom, didn't listen to her advice, but what I realized later is that she's right. This has been off the air for years. You deserve a break today at
McDonald's.
McDonald's. Right, it's been off the air. Who said McDonald's?
I did.
You did. Yeah. The rest of you, did you know that one? She didn't know it, right? I wonder why she didn't know it. She's too young. Let's see if you know this one. Don't squeeze the Charmin. So Mom knew it. Yeah. How many of the rest of you knew it? Kim, did you know it?
Not that quickly.
How about this one? Where's the beef? So these commercials have been off the air for years, but what commercials are doing is they're using our senses, what we see, what we feel, and what we hear, and they're repeating it over and over again, and they're conditioning the conscious mind. So what my mom taught me is that the unconscious mind is easily conditioned. That's the reason why they run these commercials over and over and over again. The best example in my mind is a movie called Groundhog Day. I love this movie. I watch it every February. Bill Murray, he is Phil Connors. His name is Connors, Phil Connors. How many of you seen the movie? Do you know the movie? Okay. So the only thing that Phil cares about, think of a triangle, the only thing Phil thinks about is himself. It's me, 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 that's it. So he wakes up on Groundhog Day, the alarm clock goes off, it's Sonny and Cher, I got you, babe, right? That's the music, I still remember, it's running in my head. Rise and shine, campers, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold outside, it's Groundhog Day. So then he walks over to the window, everybody's doing a Nobbler Hill, he's like, okay, it's Groundhog Day, that's day one. Day two, it's the same thing. Day three, it's the same thing. Now Phil is trying to break the pattern, and the reason why it doesn't work is because he's focused on the conscious mind. He doesn't realize what's driving the show is the unconscious. It's his beliefs, it's his values, it's his worldview, and most of all, it is his identity. Me, 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 me. And until that shifts, nothing changes. So he struggles over and over again. Next day, rise and shine, campers, and don't forget your booties because it's cold outside. It's Groundhog Day. I love it because every day is the same day. Now, here's what's startling. And when I found this out a couple years ago, I was shocked. People who study this say we have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. And 90% of them are the same the next day. Our life is like Groundhog Day. 45 to 65,000 thoughts that we have, like today is what, Tuesday the 18th? Tomorrow, 90% of what we're thinking today is going to be repeated tomorrow. It gets worse. Anywhere, depending on what you believe, anywhere from 43 to 48% of our thoughts and our actions and our words are habitual. So we take the same routes to work, we wear the same clothes, we eat the same food, we do the same thing, we relate to the same people. I think because we want to be comfortable. So our life is very much like Groundhog Day. As much as we want newness and we want things to be different, we can relate to that movie. So while I'm talking about this, maybe you're thinking about patterns in your own life. Like the clothes that you wear, the people that you see, or the things that you do, or the things that you say, or the places that you go on the internet over and over and over again. It would be like this. If you could just, for a moment, give me your imagination and think of two different shapes, one inside the other. Not like a square, because everybody thinks of a square. Visualize that, and then in the middle of it, come up with a number between 1 and 10, not like 3. Put that number in the middle, and then have two different colors for two different shapes. Now, I'd be curious to see if you thought of the number 7. I'd be curious if you thought of a triangle. I'd be curious if you thought of a circle. And I'd be curious if you thought of blue and red. How many of you could relate to anything I just said just now? Raise your hand. All of you? None of you? So if you look at the card, what color is it? And what are the symbols? And on the other side, there's blue, and it says GregDwyerEbook.com. And also, what's the card in the corner? 7. So that was placed there to condition you. Plus, the first thing I talked about is making a circle. Remember that? Remember making a circle? Also told you to make a circle with your foot and start at 7. Right? And I also talked about Phil Connors and found the top of the triangle, everything was about him. So these are just little things that I put into the workshop, the lecture, just to get you thinking. But in reality, you have conditioned yourself to think this way. Now, nobody knows really how long Phil Connors struggled. Some people say 1,000 years, some people say a week, a month, we don't know for sure. But I can tell you this, I struggled in business from 1999 to 2019. And I made money, I lost money, I had great business ventures, some went south, some worked, but for 20 years, I spent a lot of money on books, tapes, seminars, conferences, coaching, and some of it paid off and some of it didn't. But most of it was because I was focused on my conscious mind. And just like Phil Connors in the movie, nothing really changed. What I had to realize is that if I wanted to change, I had to change from the inside. And the way it happened was I got a phone call one day to speak in Vegas, and I was really excited about this. This guy calls me up and he says, he was from the UK, and he says, we're doing a conference in London and we're doing a conference in Vegas. We want you to speak in both. I said, no problem, I'll be in the UK and I'll also do the Vegas. At the Vegas lecture, we had about 25, 30 people in the room, and afterwards I was invited to go to a party afterwards with celebrities and entertainers and business people in the entertainment business. And I met this gentleman by the name of Kenton, who I was very impressed with. A businessman, almost a business wizard, if I had to classify him. Also an entertainer. And over the next couple of months, I got to know Kenton. And I asked him, I said, would you coach me? Would you mentor me? And he agreed. And I paid him a ridiculous amount of money. And actually moved into his house for 2 days. And the first thing he said to me, when I sat down, I can still picture it, we're in the kitchen. First thing he said to me was, and I'm not exaggerating, Gregory, can you keep a secret? I went, what? Can I keep, why would you even ask me that? He said, I need to know, can you keep a secret? I said, yeah, I guess. I said, why do I have to keep a secret? He said, because what I'm about to show you, you can't tell people. You can teach people, but you can't tell them. I said, why not? He said, because they won't get it if you just tell them. You have to show them. I says, you have my word. I says, no problem. And before you know it, I had this in my hand. And I can almost hear his voice in my head even now as I'm showing you this. He said, Gregory, I want you to imagine, and I want you to see the minute hand going around from 12 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 6, all the way up to 12 again. Do you see that? I said, yes, I do. He said, can you also feel the movement of the second hand going around in a circle? I said, I can feel it as well. And can you hear the clicking of the sound of the minute hand going around? Then I looked at the watch and I realized the watch was going into a circle. So at that point, he explained to me that this is a reflection of the conscious and the unconscious. Every one of you were given a string, so hold it up like this, with the washer below. And this is using your imagination. This is like being a child, really. This is not magic in the sense that I'm going to make this happen. You're going to make this happen by just simply willing it. So as you're holding it, I want you to imagine seeing a clock going around in a circle. And it's going around from 12 to 6. And it's going around, and you can imagine maybe the ticking of a clock going around in the circle. And many of you, as I'm speaking, and you're thinking about this, and you're looking at my watch and also the washer, you're noticing, like the lady in the front, most of you, that it's going around in the circle. So this is a reflection of the conscious and the unconscious mind. Okay, you can put it away, we can play with it later. So I asked Kenton, I said, how do you summarize this? How do you look at this? He says it's simple. Successful people know what's important to them, and they know how to condition their unconscious mind. And I said, well, how? He goes, by reflection. By how they reflect and how they see things, how they see things, how they feel things, and how they hear things in advance. Totally in advance. What is your first name?
Andriana.
Andriana? Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
Oh.
Oh, it's easy. You did a great
That's why I
job.
didn't want to sit in the front.
Oh, you want to sit in the fifth row back
Yeah.
there?
Do you really? All right. So hold your hands out like this, and you wrote something down on that card, right? All right. So imagine that you have a ball in your hands, and imagine that the ball is white. All right. Imagine it's white, and then you're going to take the word that you wrote on that card, and you're going to put it in the middle. And the minute you put it in the middle, that white ball of energy is going to turn gold. And then as it turns gold, think of a magnet, like a magnet of your conscious and your unconscious mind pulling your hands together. Now, of course, this isn't me doing this. This is actually you doing it, because I have no control over you. Does your mom even have any control of you? All right. No, see, so this is you. This is you. It's not me. It's imagining that what you want and what you wrote on that card is coming together for you. In other words, it's so important that your conscious mind and your unconscious mind are working together. See how my hands are getting closer? So it's possible that your hands might get closer. As you imagine, you're simply just using your imagination that a magnet is pulling your fingers closer and closer together. Your hands are coming closer together. Your fingers are coming closer together. Do you see it? Do you imagine it a little bit? So just imagine that I have like a rope and I just tie it around and I just pull it a little further, pull it a little further. They come together, come together, come together. Now bring your fingers together like this and then face me. Now imagine what you want and then bring up your two forefingers just like that. And in between is the word that you wrote. And imagine that what's happening is your fingers are coming together as you are focusing on what you want. All right, good. Give her a hand. You did fine. Have a seat. So what Kenton told me is that people who are successful, they're not scattered. Not scattered to 100 things. They don't want 100 things. They don't want 10 things. They want one thing. And they focus on it with visualization. Not just once, but every day. When I say they're religious about it, I don't mean they go to a church or anything like that. What I'm saying is every day they practice. The best time to practice, you're yawning. The best time to practice is when you fall asleep, right? Or when you wake up in the morning. There's an alpha state when you wake up. I hated this when I was a kid. My dad would walk in and he'd pull the blankets off my bed because he wanted me to go to school. I hated to go to school. But the alarm would go off and you know that alpha state that you're in and you're just kind of like in dreamy land? My father would pull, get up! And then the worst that he would do is throw water on me. It didn't ever get that bad. But you know how you're in that state when you wake up? You're kind of, is it just me or you all know? That's the best time. When you're coming out of sleep and when you're going into sleep, the best time is to visualize the day. If you're in that state of mind and you're like, oh, I don't want to go to school, Mary Sue's going to beat up on me. I mean, all of that stuff is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when you go to sleep at night or when you wake up in the morning, it's the best time to do it. Need another volunteer. Okay, and this is going to be Anne. Could you help me, Anne?
Sure.
All right, give her a hand. There is another way to condition the unconscious mind, and it's writing. So writing things down in a journal. I don't know if any of you journal. When I was a kid, my mom would journal all the time. Journaling is really important to help condition your unconscious mind so that it gets into your feelings. So we talked about visualization with her. We're going to talk about your feelings. Feelings are in the unconscious, just like language is in the unconscious. Here is a clock. I'll give you that first. And I'd like you to think of a number between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Circle one number. I don't want to see it. It doesn't have to be 7. It could be anything you want.
Okay.
All right. And then put the pen, if you could cap the pen and put it on the table. And then you could put the piece of paper face down so that I'm not looking at the number.
Okay.
Okay. We are going to see how well your conscious mind actually pulls this up by, first of all, distracting your conscious mind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this. Hold on to this. So I don't want you to think about the number that you wrote down, but are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right.
Okay. If you could hold it out just like this in your right hand. So this is a true story. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, I don't know what you think about them, but this is a true story. They went to a party, the first time they ever met in life. Bill sat over here, and Warren sat over here. They were introduced for the very first time. And I think it was the mother of one of these guys that said, listen, I know you're successful, my son's successful, how come you're successful? And handed them a pen and said, I want you to, you know how I said to you all, write down one thing? This woman, you can look this up. This woman asked Bill Gates and Warren Buffett to write down one thing, just one thing. That guy turned over his card just like you turned over your card, and the other one did the same. And then they flipped it. The word was focus. And when I read about this, I said to myself, wait a minute. This is not magic, this is not a trick, and this is not the first time they thought about the word focus. I am sure that these people had thought about focus before. They had to think about focus. So now that you're in a trance, because I told you a story, you are in a trance, by the way, I want you to think about what's important to you, what you wrote down. And as you're holding this out like this, I want you to imagine, I think it's a little crimped, a little bit. I want you to imagine going around in a circle. All right? So it starts at 12. Now it's at 1. Oh. See how fast hers is going around, Vicki? Do you see it?
Her wrist, what did you say?
Well, no, it's going around in a circle.
I don't see anything going around a circle
I see it going around in a circle.
from this angle.
All right, think about 1. Think about 2. Oh, don't you see it now? Watch. 3. You don't see it? I mean, it's big time for me. I mean, I see the movement. Now, are you aware that you're actually doing it, or is it unconscious?
I'm not doing it.
Okay, so, and we're not friends, we're not even Facebook friends. This is the unconscious. Now, the nice thing about it is, she wrote down something, and you also wrote down a number, and you're probably not thinking, because you can't think about everything at the same time, it's completely impossible. But I want you to know, Anne, that what you think about on an unconscious level is impacting your life. So that's the reason why you want to condition your unconscious mind. I know you think I'm crazy. What's your husband's name?
Jay.
Jay, don't lie to me. What time is it?
It's 5.
It's 5. What number did you write down, Anne? What number?
5.
Thank you. Have a seat. Thank you. So, the unconscious mind is powerful. The reason why I struggled for 20 years, is because my focus was on the conscious mind, just like the guy in the movie. I wanted things to change. I wanted to make money, but then I realized I had a problem with money. I wanted to be successful. It wasn't until I came over here and I worked with Kenton, and he said, Gregory, successful people know what they want, but they also learn how to condition. They know how to condition their unconscious mind, how to get it. That's the key. Vicki, are you impressed? All right, come on,
Hard.
come up and help me. All right, give her a hand. This is Vicki. All right, Vicki, stand over here. Excellent. All right. So think about what you wrote down on that card. You wrote something down on that card. It's only something that she knows, am I right?
I think so.
On a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being you feel really confident, like really confident about what you wrote down, and 1 being you don't feel confident at all. Where are you now, based on what you wrote down? Like confident, like 10. 10 is like, yeah, this is no problem. 1 is, I don't, 5 is 8. You're an 8. Okay, great. All right, excellent. Stand facing that way. Now imagine, visualization. Imagine there's a beautiful round circle. We're going to call it the circle of excellence. Excellence. And it's right there in the circle. And it's everything you've ever dreamt of, Vicki. It's bliss. It's peace. It's love. It's beautiful. Now think about what you want, what you wrote down. Now step into the circle. Excellent. Take a deep breath in. And how do you feel now about what you want? Do you feel any better? Are you more than an 8?
About the same.
Okay, good. Step back up. I created this deck of cards to help me go from a 7 to 8 to 9 and 10. And what it is a deck of cards. I'll give you half so you can look at it while I'm talking. Every single card, these will be for sale one day, but not now. Every single card has a positive affirmation. Do you notice that? So I'll switch my half with your half. And what I've done is I've memorized, there's 52 cards in the deck. I've memorized every single card as an affirmation because I remember what Kenton told me. Successful people who condition their unconscious mind get what they want. So every single card I know, now of course if I shuffle the deck, there's no way I'll know what your card is. Pick a card by consciously looking at it. In other words, select one, just stand them out and say, wow, this is a great card, I love this
How
card.
much time do I have to do this?
Well, we're going to be done at 7:30.
Okay.
You got one?
Yeah.
All right, so what does it say?
Be happy and be grateful.
Wow, all right, so that's a great card. Be happy and grateful. So say this to yourself, and now step into the circle. Say it to yourself and step into it. Say it to yourself, say it to yourself, say it to yourself, say it to yourself. Hear yourself saying, be happy and grateful. Now, how do you feel now? Are you still an 8 or are you a 9?
I'm still an 8.
All right, step back. That's fine. What is it going to take to get you to a 9? What do you think it would be?
From what my card says?
No, just a feeling of confidence, because you're telling me you're an 8. You're at an 8, and you feel confident, which, by the way, is great. Let's do contrast. Vicki, stand over here. Stand over here. Maybe we can show it in contrast. Now, by the way, what color did we say that circle was? Did we have a color?
I don't think you have a color.
Yeah, so what would the color be? Use your imagination.
Blue.
Blue. I like blue. So this is a blue color. This circle over here is your past. It represents setbacks, suffering, trials, sadness. What color would this be?
Probably black.
Black. Yep. Okay. All right. Now you're still an 8, right? You feel good about this, but you're an 8. You're an 8. All right. Now imagine your past. Think about something that happened to you in the past that wasn't so good. Now step in the circle. How do you feel now?
I feel the same.
You do. Okay, step back out. Try one other thing. So you're still at an 8. Step back in the circle.
Okay.
Here's a key.
All right.
And then open the lock.
Okay.
Now it won't open.
Uh-oh.
You feel okay, so and now
Frustrated.
yeah, so are you not an 8 anymore? Are you like
I'm
a
still
7?
an 8.
You're still
This
okay.
is just a little setback.
Oh, a little setback, yeah. So you have a very positive. Try this one. This should work.
Okay. Nope.
How do you feel now?
Same.
You feel, that's fine. All right, that's
It's not
good.
the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. All right, step back out of the circle. That's fine. All right. Step back over here. Let's see if we can get you up to a higher number. So step into the circle. And this is your happiness circle. And I'm going to give you this. Oh, you know what we'll do? We'll have you pick a card, another card, but without thinking. Any card you want without thinking. But don't look at it.
Okay.
Don't look at it. That's great.
Oh, this pocket.
Yeah, we'll just put it in the deck.
Oh, in
Yeah,
there?
I'll just get this one.
Okay.
We'll leave it until later. And then step into your circle. Again, face the audience and tell me how you feel.
I'm in the circle.
And how do you feel?
I feel like an 8.5.
All right, I'm going to get you to a 10 before this night is over. Here is the key that will set you free. Open the lock.
It's all the same.
All right, they all work the same. All right, excellent, excellent. Now, how do you feel now about what you wrote? How do you feel emotionally? Are you still at an 8 or are you an 8.5?
8.5.
You are? Excellent. All right, drop all the keys in here
Okay.
and close the lock.
Uh-oh.
Shuffle this up, Mom.
No.
What do you mean, oh no?
You're just waiting for my key.
Well, how do you feel about finding the right key?
It's going to take 3 tries.
All right, so this is what she's saying to herself. Now understand, we do this every single day of our life. I know this sounds like a little play. You know, we have a circle here, we have a color here. But think about what we're doing to ourselves. We are imagining it's going to be a great day or a bad day. We're saying things to ourselves and we're feeling different things, and it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. So let's add the card. Look at it, but don't show it to me. Memorize it. When you have it memorized, just put it on the table so that I don't see it.
Okay.
All right, great. Now say that to yourself.
Yep.
How do you feel, Vicki, about picking the right key?
Oh, I'm 100%.
Oh,
I
see?
get
You get it. So what do you know? Are you still at 8?
it. 8.5.
Okay, what if you were to open it?
Ooh, we're going to go to 9.
Okay, so she's promising me that she's going to take it from an 8.5 to a 9 just because she picks the right key. You see what she's doing to herself? This is what we do to ourselves, which is, by the way, fantastic. All right, you have a choice of any one of these 3 keys.
Can I hold this?
You can do whatever you like.
Because I thought that they're all the same.
Oh, of course they're all the same. Well, one opens them, the other 2 don't.
Hold this for me?
Yeah, just one of them. You're going to just pick one.
Can I I do this?
What do you want to do? Well, they won't all fit. No, they won't all fit. Oh, you're going to analyze the situation
Okay,
before you jump into it. All right, all right. Tell me how you feel.
Oh.
Okay, good. Are you still at 8.5?
Fine.
Oh, gosh. All right. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you for showing us this. So this is the secret. Do you know people that wake up and, oh, it's going to be a terrible day? They say things to themselves, they feel a certain way, right? It's self-fulfilled prophecy. So the difference between me over here and me over here is I just simply listened to Kenton. I paid him a lot of money. He taught me the simple truth that we're in control. I had a woman last night. Her whole focus was peace. I said, Ann, I think her name was Ann. I said, Ann, that's coincidence. I said, do you realize that you have the controls? Like, it's what you're saying to yourself. It's what you're feeling. It's what you're seeing. Peace is not going to come from the environment. How could it? It has to be an inside job. So at this time, I usually take about 5 minutes and see if there's any questions. Any questions? Now's the time. What's the question? Yes, ma'am.
How can you get yourself back on track if you find yourself getting off, you know?
Yes, it's a great question. It's the discipline of the practice. So every morning I get up and I have a ritual of reflection. So at least Monday through Friday, I started with 5 minutes and I brought it to 15 minutes. Now I'm up to a half an hour. Every single day I have quiet time to reflect. Sometimes I don't do it, like on the weekends, I'll just go with the flow. It is the discipline. I have a very good friend in New York. He has played in Carnegie Hall, and everybody asks, how come you're so great? He says, I'm not talented, I practice. So what I tell people is it's the same thing. It's practicing visualization, writing things down every day, and also these cards, affirmations. Because what happens is if you don't focus your mind, you'll be easily taken off track. It's really easy, very simple. Any other questions? Kim, you have any questions? All right. Anybody else? Alrighty. 2 volunteers to close. I'm looking at the time. I like to close at the same time all the time. Vicki, could you help me again since you were so great and sit over here?
Vicky. No problem.
Who else wants to volunteer? Raise your hand if you want to volunteer, and I'll know not to pick you.
Yeah, come on.
Oh,
Okay, come on up, give her a hand.
why not?
That's nice, that's
It's
nice,
my
that's
word.
nice, that's nice. So this is the finale. The way I like to do the finale is, what we do is simply show you what I just taught you. Because Kenton told me, don't tell people this, it's a secret, but you can simply show them. So 3 things. Visual, that was the first thing we talked about, remember? And then the second thing we talked about was feeling, right? And the last thing was hearing. So let's see if we can do it. So I'd like you to sit exactly the same way. Exactly. So I have 2 cards here. One card is a sender, the other one is a receiver. So at this point, we're going to ask you to stay quiet and to be present. So this is part of the reflection. I do this kind of reflection. So it's only going to take about 5 minutes. I will not embarrass you. I do believe it will be fun, and we'll see what happens. You just never know what happens. Every time I do it, it's a different experience because the people that are in the room, you never know. So I'm going to give you a card. I'm going to mix them up so I don't know who's the sender or the receiver. You won't say anything. Don't let your conscious mind get involved in any of this. And I'll have you read that to yourself. When you understand what it says, just simply fold it in half. When you understand what this says, just simply fold it in half, and this is an indication to me that I know that you know what that's about. Good? All right, got this one folded. This one's. Now we're going to focus right now on visualization. So I'd like you to close your eyes, and I'd like you to visualize you're sending or receiving something. Now that something is a word. So it's best if you see like a beautiful movie screen, and on the movie screen you see this word. See this word very clear, very focused. Now I want you to keep your eyes closed the whole time. So I don't want you to be distracted by the colors in the room or distracted by anything that you hear or see other than what's going on inside of you. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to count down, but just pay attention to everything that you feel, everything that you see. So I'll count down from 100 to 90 to 80 to 70. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just simply relax. So now we get down to 60 and down to 50, 40, and 30. We'll stay right here and hover at 20. Now what I'd like you to do is say out loud, when I get to the number 3, I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'll say 3. When I get to the number 3, just say out loud the word that you either sent or received. The word that you saw. 1, 2, and 3.
Family.
Nice. Yeah, you could have all the money in the world, but if you don't have children and family. So now we're at 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you felt a tap or taps, just raise your right hand now. Put your right hand down. If you could point in the direction that you felt the tap or taps, that would be great. Do that now. Excellent. Put your hands down. If you can indicate with one hand, with your digits, how many times you felt the taps, do that now. Raise your hand and show. Excellent. Put your hands down. I forget what number we're at, but I'll bring it. Oh, we're down to 0. So at this point, open your eyes. So at this point, open your eyes. And we talked about visualization. We also talked about feelings. We've talked about feelings. Inside here, I have a cup with a die. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up with your both hands. What number's on top?
1.
Good. Shake it up again so it's not a loaded dice. What do you got now?
3.
Okay, good. Do you have a favorite number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Do you have those numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Can you put the die your favorite number? In other words, there's no way in the world Jackie, Vicky, and I would know. Sorry, I got distracted. So, yeah, just have it face up the way you want it to be. You satisfied?
Mm-hmm.
So put your hand over it. So your hand is over what you picked. Close your eyes. In a moment, I'm going to ask Vicky to close your eyes and put your fingers into your ear. Do that now. And just see what comes to you right. I usually touch your forehead, but I have the tip of your hat. That's okay. Just focus on what you hear. And it's possible that you might hear something. And when you do hear something, just nod your head, letting me know that you hear. So we don't know. You can both open your eyes. We didn't work this out, right? So what? But before you say it, what do you have?
3.
What do you have?
3.
Let's show everybody.
What?
What do you mean, what? You woke up?
I knew that was what number she picked. But
You did. You did too. That's good. Well, give him a hand. Give him a hand. Thank you so much.